Hi kids, it's Stacy from the Worcester Public Library. Thanks so much for joining me for this month's 5-ingredient cooking. This month we're going to be doing one of my favorite recipes, which is baked macaroni and cheese. So baked macaroni and cheese, some people consider it a side, some people consider it a full meal. What do you think? We're going to have the optional ingredient when we cook of adding broccoli. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is a full meal. So the 5 ingredients that you need are pasta. I'm going to be using elbow pasta. Shells are also a really great choice. Any kind of small pasta. Spaghetti will work, actually. You just have to break it down before you cook it. You'll need some milk. You will need some cheese. This is 2.5 cups of cheddar cheese, which I prefer in the recipe, but if you prefer a different cheese or if you want to mix two, feel free to do that. We need an egg. We need some butter. And like I was saying, we do have the optional ingredient of the broccoli. I know some of you kids love your vegetables and really enjoy broccoli, and I know some of you might be a little hesitant to add that to your mac and cheese, but cheddar especially and broccoli pair really well together. So if you have it on hand, it might be something that you want to try. So first, go ahead and wash your hands really, really well. You are going to need a grown-up for a little bit of this recipe because we're going to use the stove. And when you're ready, we'll get started. Okay, so our recipe asks for 12 ounces of pasta. I've noticed that most of these boxes come with 16 ounces or a pound of pasta. So basically you need about 3/4 of a box. I did all the math in my head and it comes out to be 3 cups. So if you measure 3 cups of pasta and put that aside, then we'll get the grown-ups to help with the next step, which is preheating the oven to 350 degrees. Preheating is exactly as it sounds. Heat up the oven. It's not quite warm until you're ready to put your dish in, then you'll put it in. The second thing that you'll have your grown-ups do is boil some water. When the water's boiled, you'll put in your 3 cups of pasta and don't completely cook it. Cook it for about 5 minutes and then come back and join me. Okay kids, so now I have my 3 cups of pasta boiled here. Like I said, I cooked it for about 5 minutes. Usually when you cook pasta, you cook it in about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how you like it cooked. If you like it a little bit crunchy or al dente, you cook it about 7 minutes. So this is definitely undercooked right now, but we're gonna bake it, so that's why we did that. So your grown-up should have helped you to boil and strain your pasta, but these next steps we can do on our own. So this is the fun part. Okay, so after the pasta, you are going to want to add 2 cups of milk right to the pasta. Oh, I did want to mention when you do this, it's great that your parents help you, but if they do the pasta, don't put it aside and cook later. You do want to do this while the pasta is still warm. All right, so the next thing that you're going to add is 2 tablespoons of butter. So this time I do have my tablespoon measure, but I want to show you a neat little trick. So when you look on a standard stick of butter, you can actually see some measurements on the side. I don't know if you can quite see that, but when you have your own stick of butter, you'll see it. So you can actually look on here and see 2 tablespoons of butter. So you don't even have to measure it. You can just cut it right there. So it does ask for softened butter. You can put it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. If you're not comfortable doing that, again, have your parent do it. So I already warmed up a little bit of butter, 2 tablespoons. And you are going to whisk that with your egg. So I have one more little trick for the egg. Instead of just taking this egg and pouring it in your butter, and I always get shells all the time, separate your egg in a different dish before you pour it in with the butter. So this is a great tip for baking when you add the flour, the sugar and everything. I just hate when you go to crack an egg and you get a shell in your mix. So do it in a separate bowl first. That way, if you get a shell, you can just pull it out really quickly. So it's lucky I didn't get any shells, so I'm gonna mix the egg and the butter and just kind of whisk them together. This is a wire whisk. If you don't have one at home, honestly, a fork works just as well. Just kind of mix it around as quickly as you can, get the two things combined. You want them to not look separate. You want them to look uniform. So once you mix together your eggs and your butter, go ahead and add that. And finally, your 2.5 cups of cheese. You're going to want to mix it all together. As you mix, I don't know if you can see that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my table and my stove all in the same picture. As you mix it, your cheese may start melting right away, and that's just because, you know, the pasta's still warm. But you want to get everything mixed in there evenly. The recipe does say that you can add salt and pepper to taste. Usually when you see that in a recipe, it just means add what you like. Like if you like salt, if you like pepper, add a little bit to the recipe. I like it how it is, so I'm not going to add those. And also in a lot of recipes, when you see 5-ingredient cooking, they don't count the salt and pepper. So even if you did add it and you're like, Stace, that's 7 ingredients. They don't count those because they pretty much consider it a standard in most homes. So next thing you're going to do is just pour it in your pan. I wish you can see. How can I do this so you can see? Just pour it right into your pan. Just any standard cooking pan is fine. So also, while I was waiting for my pasta to boil, I shut off my filming for a little bit, but my oven did beep, which means that it did preheat. It is ready to go. It's ready to cook. Right now I'm just kind of flattening everything out, evening it. And then, okay kids, so the recipe said to wait about 30 to 35 minutes for your macaroni and cheese to be completely done. It's been about 30 minutes, so I'm going to take my oven mitt and go ahead and check my macaroni and cheese. This is the last part. You will need a grown-up for this because it's going to get very hot. So it does look done. The way you can tell is all the cheese will be kind of toasted on the top and melted. It's hot, it looks ooey, it looks gooey, it looks delicious. So we're gonna actually put it here. Let it cool about 10 or 15 minutes before you eat it because it will be really hot with the melted cheese. But you can eat it soon after it's cooked. Don't forget your broccoli mixin'. If you wanna try it, go ahead and stir that in at about the 10 or 15 minute cooling off point too. I use chopped broccoli, just a little bit easier. Make sure that your oven and your stove are off. And I hope you and your family enjoy your meal.